Hello everyone, and welcome to Southridge. If this is your first time joining us in this format, we want to offer a few tips on how to make the most of this experience. Be sure to crank up the volume during the music and sing along. Musicians, download the music charts below the video, grab your instrument, and play along. If English isn't your first language or you experience hearing challenges, we encourage you to turn on the closed captioning on this video or download the transcripts for this morning's message. And be sure to download the Southridge app. This is the latest way to stay connected and informed about everything that's going on here at Southridge. It's completely free and super easy to use. But for the next hour, I invite you to engage with this experience just as if you were here with us, surrounded by a community of diverse, curious, open-minded, and inclusive people, all desiring to tap into the power and presence of God together as we worship, pray, listen, laugh, and grow. There might be some things we do or say today that really resonate with you, and that's great. There might also be things that stretch and challenge you, and we think that's good too. Ultimately, we encourage you to engage openly, thoughtfully, honestly, and wholeheartedly, trusting that the God we're here to connect with is a God who, above all else, is love. So, as we begin our time together, wherever and whenever you are, whether this is your first time with us or if you've been around forever, we hope that for the next hour, you feel like you're among friends. Welcome to Southridge. We're glad you're here.
Father of kindness, you have poured out grace. You brought me out of darkness, you have filled me with peace. Giver of mercy, you're my help in times of need. Lord, I can't help but sing. You are faithful, forever you will be. Faithful you are. All your promises are yes and amen. All your promises are yes and amen.
Confidence is your faithfulness. I will rest in your promises. My confidence is your faithfulness. I will the setting sun, I'll praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. Yeah. God, from age to age, though the earth may pass away, your word remains the same. Yeah, your history can prove there's nothing you can't do, 'cause you're faithful and true. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting sun, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. So I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. He'll never let me down. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting sun, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me.
Oh, great life giver, almighty river, you labored in the dust and you delivered us. We are your children, all of 8 billion. You know our frailty, but you see our beauty. You shelter us with care and the heart of a wild mother bear. Heavenly Mother, Mother of mercy, strength like no other, to hold us securely in your love, even when no other would. Your love is like only a mother could.
A great defender, so
fierce and tender. Our hearts can always trust. You're watching over us, and you shelter us with care, and the heart of a wild mother bear. Heavenly Mother, Mother of mercy, strength like no other, you hold us securely in your love, even when no other would. You love us like only a mother could. Heavenly Mother, Mother of mercy, strength like no other, you hold us securely in your love, even when no other would. You love us like only a mother could. You love us like only a mother could. You love us like only a mother could.
We are a diverse community of imperfect people.
who see the church as less of something to go to and more of a life to be lived and shared with others.
We are continually growing in what it means to love one another, fighting for unity rather than fighting over unnecessary arguments.
We are living to serve this world in the way of Jesus, serving those in need and those on the margins, knowing that friendship truly makes the difference.
So if you're coming with questions or curiosities,
Hurts or frustrations,
joys or celebrations,
Wondering if the church can bring clarity or hope.
or simply be a place to belong,
We invite you to be at home with us.
we invite you to explore with us.
We invite you to grow with us.
And we invite you to belong with us.
welcome to Southridge. We're glad you're here.
Hey there, my name is Jessica Reimer, and I serve as the Director of Connection here at Southridge. We're so glad you're participating with us this week, and we hope that this has already been a meaningful experience for you. I'm standing here in our St. Catharines location, and if you've never joined us for one of our in-person gatherings at one of our physical Southridge locations, we invite you and would love to have you consider joining us in person when you feel ready and able. While we're so grateful to have this online platform to share in the experience from wherever and whenever we find ourselves, we love it even more when we can be together in person and embrace the magic of community. So please know that you're welcome to join us on any Sunday in person, and we will strive to quickly help you know that you belong. Especially if you've ever felt excluded or ignored by the church, we'd love the chance to change your experience and let you know that you are loved, accepted, and welcomed with us. In fact, if you happen to live in the St. Catharines area, I'd love to personally invite you to our location and would be thrilled to have the chance to meet you if you do decide to join us. And if you live near the Vineland or Welland location areas, I know you'll find the same welcome at those locations too. Now, for any of you who are brand new to all of this and may be participating with us in this online service for your very first time ever, we definitely want to say a special welcome to you. It's good to meet you, so to speak, even through the screen, and we're so glad that you've chosen to check us out. We hope you feel like you're among friends and family, even in this format. As our way of saying thanks for joining us for your first time, we'd love to give you a gift of our Southridge Jam from our social enterprise, the Southridge Jam Company. If you click on the New Here or Gift button below and share your contact info, we'll be in touch and safely deliver a jar of our Southridge Jam to you this week. Similarly, if you're looking for a way to get in touch with us, meet with a pastor, ask any questions, get baptized, or learn how to get more involved in our community, please take a moment to fill out the Connect card on our website or app, and we'll be in touch with you this week. For those of us who call this community home, one of the ways we can practice togetherness and express our gratitude to God and generosity to others is through our regular financial contributions. This is one of the ways we can invest our lives in what God is doing in and through our church community, making a difference by meeting needs among us, across our region, and around the world. All of our online giving options are available on our website, and so if you're able to give this week, we invite you to do so in a spirit of joy and generosity, and we thank you in advance for your faithfulness. Now, to help you stay aware of more opportunities to engage with our community or get involved, check this out.
Well, with Easter just around the corner, we're really getting excited around here for our Easter weekend celebrations here at Southridge, and we wanted to fill you in on what's going to be happening. So on April 15th, that's Good Friday, we want to invite you to join us. We're going to be gathering at all of our locations at 10 a.m. and online, and we're going to be gathering to sing and reflect and take communion and celebrate what it is that makes this day that's about the death of Jesus something we call good. And we really hope that you'll join us. But then on Easter Sunday morning, again, 10 a.m. at all our locations and online, this is going to be just an incredible celebration. We're going to sing and celebrate. We got some cool treats for you. And it's just going to be a really fantastic and meaningful experience as we lean into not just talking about, but actually practicing and experiencing the power of resurrection together. And I just want to say that if you're planning to come, this would be an incredible opportunity for you to invite your friends or your family members, maybe your neighbors, your coworkers, your classmates, to come and participate with us and be exposed to the message and the love and the power of God together among us. So we really hope to see you there.
One of the things we do regularly to stay spiritually fit is what we call spiritual practices, ways of engaging our hearts, minds, and bodies in a prayerful exercise that train us to lean into God's presence in all of life. So before we get into this morning's message, let's spend a few moments exploring the spiritual practice together.
Before we get into our message this morning, we're going to take a few minutes for some spiritual practice. I don't know how you're finding the constant noise and endless swirling turmoil in the world these days. I often find myself feeling exhausted, like soul level exhausted by it. Wouldn't you like to take a break from it all? Like an actual real break? Would that not feel so good? And you might think, sure, yeah, that'd be a nice luxury to be able to take a break, but it's not actually a luxury at all. It is essential to your soul's survival to, on a regular basis, intentionally close out all the noise and just let the waters go still. In your mind, in your heart, and in your body. We call that the spiritual practice of silence. In Matthew 11:29, Jesus says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." He's talking about how in farming, two oxen are often attached together by a big wooden yoke. So they're forced to move down the field together in tandem at exactly the same pace. They can't escape each other even if they try because of the yoke. And so silence is the practice of unyoking ourselves from some of the things we've attached to that are pushing us down the field and draining the life out of us, whether it be noise, constant motion, busyness, drama, and then to re-yoke ourselves back to Jesus, back into Jesus' ways of quiet, of gentleness, and rest. So we're gonna practice that. Just practice letting the waters go still for a minute. Now, because this is actually a difficult practice for us generally, we're gonna ease our way into it. So think of this like slowly inching your way into the lake water at the beach. Now we're gonna descend into it in stages. So first, we're gonna drop our background pad here. Feel that? And then I'll invite you to close your eyes, which just sort of closes out the visual stimuli around you. That isn't essential to silence, but it's just another thing that we can try experimenting with. And now just feel yourself breathing for a few seconds. We're going to play a song by Audrey Assad called Be Still. So that won't be silence, obviously, yet. But as it plays, allow yourself to just start to let go of whatever busy thoughts and emotions you might be carrying right now into this moment. Now, use the song as a processing space where you just do your best to release anything that's going to prevent you from being truly silent and still in the space that will follow. Ease into the water. And when the song ends, we'll sit together for about 90 seconds of quiet. It might feel a bit awkward at first, just let it be. To try to simply sit and breathe in the fresh air of stillness, doing nothing except being fully present to the God who is fully present to you.
Heart in my throat and my body on fire. High over the ground, walking on a wire. Got my hands held tight around all I desire. I'm calling your name, but I'm scared I won't find you. Would he reach out and hold me? 'Cause I'm out on a limb and afraid to keep going. Do you know what is coming? I'm afraid to be still and too tired to keep running. Would he reach out and show me? Oh, 'cause I'm losing my mind and I'm leaving my body. Oh, do you know where we're going? I'm afraid to be still and too tired to keep running. Oh, I'm afraid to be still and too tired to keep running. I am afraid to be still and too tired to keep running. Be still when my body's on fire. Oh, be
I can't remember the exact day as the days and weeks have all completely blurred together for me, but I can recall this one Sunday in February that I drove home from church alone with uncomfortable tears stinging in my eyes. I couldn't even articulate why I was crying other than I was so tired and everything felt foggy. The thing is, I was at the end of myself. 2 years of pandemic life and I had nothing left. My reserves, they were depleted. I had no more pivots left in me. I was running out of creative ideas and I was losing track of lockdowns. And frankly, I had no more energy to muster up any courage to navigate any more changes that were coming my way. And I was dreading the thought of having to disappoint any more people. I guess I had been trying to stay strong for the people around me, and I got to this place where I simply couldn't keep it up anymore. And I started to ask myself, after 2 years, how would I rise from all of this? I don't know about you, but have you ever felt that way? Now, this reminds me of the time that our dog, Teddy, ate my glasses, and everything was foggy for a few weeks until I got a new pair. Now, maybe you've heard me talk about Teddy. Teddy is the golden retriever that joined our family just a few months back in October of 2021. And we thought we were rescuing Teddy, only to discover that it was actually us that needed Teddy the most. And there are so many things about Teddy that have made our family better in so many ways, like the way that he greets us when we get home. He basically hugs us when we walk in the door. And the unconditional affection that he lavishes us with time and time again, the way that he forces us to get outside more, and on and on and on. And Teddy has this one little challenge. He loves to eat, and he can't always discern what's for eating and what's not. And so we have had mittens eaten, we have had dishcloths and hats eaten, and a few weeks ago, Teddy decided to eat my glasses. That's right, my glasses. And so, like all of us, Teddy is a lovable work in progress. Now, when Teddy ate my glasses and shred them to pieces, I had to wait for almost 2 long weeks for my replacement glasses to come in. And for the most part, I made it work. I had some contact lenses that I could use. I had prescription sunglasses that I could use when I was driving in the daytime. And if it was nighttime, then I would ask for a ride. And then there were times when I didn't have my glasses on. I would either be at work or I'd be at home, and I legit could not see. Like, I could see like right in front of me, but anything beyond the 2 or the 3 feet in front of me, it was pure fog. And guess what? I learned that living in that state of fog, it was exhausting. It made my heart, my mind, and my body exhausted. Have you ever felt that way in the past 2 years? There's an article that Adam Grant wrote for the New York Times. Last year, he wrote an article called, "There's a Name for the Blah That You're Feeling." It's called languishing. Now, in this well-known article, it's an article that many of us have read, and it's made Adam Grant really a household name. He writes this: "It wasn't burnout. We still had energy. It wasn't depression. We didn't feel hopeless. We just felt somewhat joyless and aimless. It turns out there's a name for that: languishing." He goes on to say, languishing is a sense of stagnation and emptiness. It feels as if you're muddling through your days, looking at your life through a foggy windshield. Now, we still have a lot to learn about what causes languishing and how to cure it, but the author says that naming it might be a good first step. It could help to defog our vision, giving us a clearer window into what has been a blurry experience. And it could remind us that we are not alone. Languishing is common. Languishing is shared. And by acknowledging that so many of us are languishing, he says that we can start to give voice to the quiet despair and light a path out of the void. And so if that's you today, you are not alone. I am in this with you. Now, if the fog isn't enough, the stress, the constant change, the lack of uncertainty, the lack of certainty, the lack of control, and the overall fear of the last 2 years, it has created so much weariness in us. Loss upon loss, change upon change. We all ran for so much longer than we expected, and it's all caught up with us. Now, it's not surprising that we're tired. If you're familiar with the work of Dr. Hilary McBride, then you know that there is wisdom in our body, and that the emotions that we're unable to feel and process and move through our bodies, well, they actually get stuck. They actually get stuck in our bodies. They make us tired and stressed and sometimes even sick. And so with all of the uncertainty, with all of the constant change from the past 2 years, the truth is our bodies are tired, our bodies are stressed, and we are simply longing for rest. The truth that I want us to know this morning, and not just know intellectually, but deep, deep within us, is that God knows and cares so deeply about our weariness. There's a passage that I love from the 3rd chapter of the book of Lamentations, verses 19 to 24, and it says this: I remember my affliction and my wandering, the bitterness and the gall, I well remember them, and my soul is downcast within me. Yet this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. I say to myself, the Lord is my portion. Therefore I will wait for him. Now, this was written by the prophet Jeremiah as he witnessed the destruction of the city of Jerusalem and the temple. He cries out to God about his pain. He cries out to God about his affliction. He even cries out to God about his bitterness. This is strong language, and his soul is downcast. Yet what does he remember? That there is hope. That there is hope because of the Lord's great love. We are not consumed by our pain because God's compassions never fail. Every morning, God's mercy is new. God is faithful and can only ever be faithful. The Lord is our portion. In other words, God promises to give us exactly what we need in the midst of our exhaustion, in the midst of our suffering. God not only understands our pain and weariness and our fog and our exhaustion, God is faithful in the midst of our exhaustion, in the midst of our suffering, in the midst of our pain. And we can encounter God in the weariness. There is mercy in the midst of it all. We can encounter the great love of God because God's mercies are new every morning. Every morning, the faithfulness and the mercy of God is new. Now, maybe you have no idea what it is that I'm talking about, and maybe you've never experienced the kind of exhaustion that I'm alluding to. Maybe the idea of languishing feels super foreign to you, and if that's the case, I would want you to be extremely grateful and also understand that there are likely others around you that are feeling exhausted, that are experiencing the languishing, the deep, deep weariness that I'm mentioning. I actually love this invitation from one of my favorite poets, John O'Donoghue. He's an Irish poet, and he has a poem entitled For the One Who Is Exhausted. And this poem has been a real companion to me throughout the past few months. And towards the end of the poem, there is this one line, and it's a line of wisdom for those of us who are exhausted. He invites those of us who are exhausted to be excessively gentle with ourselves. And personally, I have needed to hear that, to be excessively gentle with myself. And I can't help but think that it also applies to those of us who are around us. I mean, couldn't we all benefit right now from some gentleness? Couldn't we all benefit from some excessive gentleness? I mean, many of us are weary from the stress and uncertainty of the past 2 years, and that is completely appropriate. You are not alone. We are in this together, and God is with us. We are not forgotten. God's mercies for you and I are new every single morning. And God promises to be our portion. God promises to give us what we need. And so where do we go from here? How do we recover? And what does Jesus offer us in the midst of our exhaustion? Canadian author Sarah Bessey, I subscribe to her monthly newsletter known as Field Notes, and she has introduced me to the First Nations version of the New Testament. And I absolutely love how the translators have rendered the words of Jesus in Matthew 11, 28 to 30. It says this, "Come close to my side, you whose hearts are on the ground, you who are pushed down and worn out. I will refresh you. Follow my teachings and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble of heart, and you will find rest from your troubled thoughts. Walk side by side with me, and I will share in your heavy load and make it light." In the first part of this verse, we read this, "Come close to my side, you whose hearts are on the ground, you who are pushed down and worn out, and I will refresh you. Follow my teachings and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble of heart, and you will find rest for your troubled thoughts." Now again, Sarah Bessey, in her 2020 talk at the Evolving Faith Conference, she reminded me of this beautiful truth, that Jesus acknowledges our weariness and ache, acknowledges and understands our weariness. And the beautiful thing about this verse is that Jesus offers us rest. He knows that for so many of us, our hearts are on the ground. He knows that we are broken-hearted, we are pushed down, we are worn out. And Jesus meets us right where we are at and offers us refreshment. What does that look like? What does that refreshment look like? The invitation is, "Come close to my side." The rest that Jesus is inviting us into, it's beyond simply taking a nap, which, as an aside, is always a fantastic idea. But this kind of rest is about coming close to Jesus with an open heart, with a readiness to walk and learn from Jesus. It's about resting in the goodness and safety and faithfulness of the relationship with Him. It's about resting in the relationship. It's about knowing that we are held, we are loved, we are anchored, we are rooted. Jesus reminds us that He is humble and gentle, and that in Him we can find rest for our troubled thoughts. Now, for those of us who are finding slowing down and resting to be super hard or maybe even impossible, then I can't help but think that this invitation is all the more important, all the more necessary for us. When we are exhausted and worn out, it's not actually about pushing through, it's about slowing down. Now, sure, there are ways that we can find rest, and there are ways that we can care for ourselves, and there are ways that we can prioritize that, and all of that is super important. That might be things like eating well, getting a good night's sleep, vitamins, time outside, meaningful time with people we love, and so on. But the deeper kind of rest, the rest that will help us recover our lives, is found in walking closely with Jesus. It's found in walking closely with Jesus and learning from Him. It's about resting in the faithfulness, the love, and the goodness of the relationship. So the question is, in our exhaustion, how do we come to Jesus? How do we come to Jesus in the midst of our exhaustion? Now back to that verse from Matthew 11. In the second part of that verse I read, here's what we read. Jesus says, "Walk side by side with me, and I will share in your heavy load and make it light." So as we find rest in our relationship with Jesus, the question is, how do we actually recover? How do we experience the rest and the refreshment that we are in need of? How do we walk side by side with Jesus? How do we share our heavy load with Jesus so that He can make it light? Well, I think it's actually pretty uncomplicated. And so for the sake of this morning, I want to walk us through 4 ways that we can walk with Jesus and lighten our load. First of all, prioritize environments where you can experience the refreshment of Jesus. Environments where Jesus, often through others, can pour into you. And so this is things like Sunday mornings, right here, right now, life group, Maybe it's a favorite author or a favorite podcast. Maybe it's time alone. Maybe it's time outdoors or in nature, where God can simply pour refreshment and rejuvenation into you. Secondly, if we believe that the mercies of God are new every single morning, then what if we were to start our day anchored in that truth? Maybe we begin our day by listening to a worship song, or take the scriptures that we've heard this morning, the scriptures that we've read, and tape them to your bathroom mirror so that they're the very first thing that you see in the morning, and so that you can read them over yourself as you begin your day. Maybe you walk in nature. Whatever it is, something to remind you that God's mercies are new for you every morning and that God is your portion. Third, give your heavy load to Jesus by making prayer a priority. And not just at the start of your day, not just at the end of your day, but all throughout your day, especially in the moments when you find yourself needing and craving rest. Maybe you carve out time for a spiritual practice, like the breath prayer, for example, where you get connected to your breath and simply, use your breath to breathe in the love of God and to breathe out fear. Or maybe you practice in a practice like we experienced earlier in the message this morning, or earlier in the service this morning, the practice of silence. Practices like that and taking time for prayer, this is exactly how we share our load of exhaustion with Jesus. This is how we allow Jesus to lighten our load. And finally, I want to invite you to actively care about what Jesus cares about. Decide that love will be your highest priority. Look for ways to practice excessive gentleness with yourself and with others. Who is it that you could let off the hook? Is there someone that you can show compassion to, kindness to? Is there a person that you can build a relational bridge with? Is there someone that you could extend the rest of Jesus to? Because this will surprisingly help you experience more of the rest of Jesus yourself. Friends, together I believe we can reclaim what it is to walk in step with Jesus, what it is to follow Jesus with our lives, to walk side by side with Jesus, to walk in the ways of love. There is life and goodness for you and for I on the other side of the exhaustion and in the midst of it. There is good and important kingdom work to be done, and following Jesus is how we recover. Now, maybe there is much in your life that feels dead, and maybe this all feels like too much. Yes, I totally get it, and I understand. And I believe that in the midst of it, this is an opportunity to trust Jesus. The thing is, our lives and our faith journey include the cycle of death, resurrection, and rebirth. To believe that life and rebirth follow death, even when we cannot see it yet. I love the way that Anne Lamott says this. Hope begins in the dark. The stubborn hope that if you just show up and try to do the next right thing, the dawn will come. And in the season of spring that we are in, spring reminds us of this mystery when we pay attention to it. And as we get ready for the Easter celebration, the resurrection of Christ, as we are preparing for Easter in this season of Lent, this is a time when we can ask ourselves, what do we need to die to and release? What do you and I need to let go of so that we can make room for God's activity in our lives? How is God transforming you? Who are you becoming in this season? How will you and I be different on the other side of this? As you and I rise from the ashes of the pandemic, let's ask ourselves, what is the story that we want to tell? The invitation for you and I is to learn the beautiful, unforced rhythms of grace, to surrender our load to Jesus. What a gift it is for Jesus to be able to carry us and lighten our load in this season, for Jesus to lead us. This, friends, is exactly how we experience refreshment. This is how we recover. We recover in the context of relationship with Jesus. We are weary and exhausted for good reason because we have all been through so much. And of course, we're not out of it yet. Yet in the midst of it all, we remember what we read earlier in Lamentations 3:24. The Lord is my portion, says my soul. Therefore, I will wait for him. There is a rhythm of grace that we can learn and an invitation to keep company with Jesus. So, remember how I began by telling a story about Teddy? Well, what I didn't tell you is that Teddy is a bit of a rescue situation. Teddy came from a situation where he wasn't wanted, and truthfully, he was quite neglected and possibly even abused. And from the moment we met him, our hearts ached for him. We could tell that he was a great dog, and I remember Steve saying, he simply needs some love. Now, my husband Steve has put so much work into our relationship, into his relationship with Teddy, and he has built deep, deep trust with Teddy. And these days, the two of them are completely inseparable. In fact, Teddy is basically his shadow. And Teddy is a gem of a companion, and he has experienced healing in the context of relationship. He experienced and is experiencing healing and recovery simply by staying close to Steve day in and day out. Now, if this is true for our sweet Teddy, how much more is this true for you and I as we walk step by step with Jesus, as we stay connected to Jesus? Friends, this is it. This is our invitation. No matter how hard life is right now, no matter how exhausted you are, what is the story that you and I are going to tell with our lives? We get to choose this. We have agency here. And what if the story we told with our lives is that we kept company with Jesus and walked side by side with him? How we became refreshed as we stayed close to him. How we recovered. How we became lighter and freer as we learned the unforced rhythms of grace. How we experienced his refreshment. And how we experienced the refreshment of others by offering it to them. What if the story we told with our lives is about the depth of relationship that we experienced with Jesus? What if the story we told with our lives is about how faithful and good and present God still is?
I rest in you, O God. I am in your safekeeping, body and soul held in peace. My heart cries out to you, my God. All that upsets me, you see. All that disturbs me, you understand. Only here in your presence am I fully known. I am wrapped in grace. I rest in you, O God. I am in your safekeeping, body and soul held in peace. I try to relax, but anger rattles me. I try to relax, but my failings niggle at me. Be still. Be silent. Put your trust in the Lord. I rest in you, O God. I am in your safekeeping, body and soul held in peace. In the stillness, the light of your face shines. My heart turns to thankfulness and is glad. I have more than enough. You, Lord, are more than enough. I lie down to sleep, safe and sound. I rest in you, O God. I am in your safekeeping, body and soul held in peace. 'Cause 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 'c Be still and rest. You are held in peace.
Dark, and it's hard to see what you are doing here in the ruins, where this will lead. Oh, but I know that down through the years I'll look back on this moment, see your hand on it, and know you were here. And I'll testify of the battles you've won. But you were my portion when there wasn't enough. And I'll sing the song of the seas that we crossed, the waters you parted, the waves that I walked, singing, oh, 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 my God did not fail. Is the story I'll tell. Oh, 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 I know it is well. Oh, 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 it's the story I'll tell.
Believing gets hard when options are few, when I can see what you're doing, I know that you're proving you're the God who comes through. Oh, but I know that over the years I'll look back on these moments and see your hand on it and know you were here.
And I'll testify of the battles you've won. You were my portion when there wasn't enough. And I'll testify of the seas that we crossed, the waters you parted, the waves that I've walked, singing, oh, 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 my God did not fail. Singing, oh, 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 it's the story I'll tell. Singing, oh, 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 I know it is well. Singing, oh, 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 it's the story I'll tell.
And all that is left is highest praises. So sing hallelujah to the Rock of Ages. All that is left is highest praises.
lie of the battles you've won. How you were my portion when there wasn't enough. And I'll sing the song of the seas that we crossed, the waters you've parted, the waves that I walked.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope that you felt inspired and challenged by our time together. Now, we know that for what we've heard today to become reality in our daily lives, it's going to take more than just this 1 hour a week we spend together. It requires a moment-by-moment, 7 days a week commitment to practicing the way of peace and the way of Jesus. That's why we provide a host of ways to continue to lean into God's presence while we're away from each other. As always, you can click the Practice This Week button below the player for daily spiritual exercises to continue and develop the muscles we've started building today. If it helps, you can also opt into the Spiritual Practices notifications on our app to get those helpful reminders every morning as you start your day. As our time together ends, we're going to put some questions on the screen. If you're watching with others, they can serve as great conversation starters, but they can also be a great way of processing and personalizing what you've heard today on your own. And if you'd like a more personal conversation with someone about anything that's going on in your life, we invite you to reach out to our location pastors who will follow up with you privately. Please fill out our Connect card. That's all for now. Thanks for joining us, and have a great week.
Thank you.